Hello VC, Brother Eric here, and this is the Plastic Sound Wave Call. So this video is going to be split into two parts. The first half is going to be for the Blues Guy vinyl contest, which I believe is for 150 subscribers, but when I looked today, he had way more than that. And the second half is going to be a message to Steve Carlson. So let's get into this contest. Blues Guy Vinyl. He has this contest again for 150 subscribers, but I thought he had way more subscribers than that. I was surprised to also find out that this contest ends on June 13th. So Chris, who is the Blues Guy, is going to be turning 50. Get the fuck out of town. There's no way. No way you're turning 50. No way. Dude, I'm kind of jealous. So for his contest, he had a few questions. The first question is, show us an album with blue vinyl. Alright, so mine is Funkadelic. This is their first album, 1970. I've showed it a couple times now, I think. I got the Four Men with Beards pressing, which is blue translucent. I don't know if it shows through the light there, but dark blue, like how I like my blues. So yeah, I've actually been to some blues concerts. Probably the best one I went to was Jay Giles' band, which they didn't play like any of their 80s stuff. It was just all blues. Jimmy Vaughn, who's the brother of Stevie Ray Vaughan. But I guess Chris would know that. But in case anybody else doesn't know, Robert Cray, and then the headliner was this guy right here, B.B. King. And so that's where I got this. I saw him at State Line. Excellent show. I think when I saw him, it was actually B.B. King's birthday, and I think at the time, so this was like 1997, and I believe it was his 72nd birthday. So he did sit down when he played, which was, I mean, I was fine with. Just to hear him play, just to see him actually do it was pretty cool. So I do have quite a few of B.B. King. B.B. King with Bobby Bland. I really like Howlin' Wolf. But what really uplifts my spirits, which brings us to question number 2. Beck. This album is Colors by Beck. It's just a fun album. It's just cool to listen to. Dancey, poppy, almost disco-y. It's funny that Beck's been around a lot longer, but this album makes me think of Foster the People. Their first album. I guess the thing that makes me feel real good about this record is that it's called Colors. And it comes on white vinyl. So this isn't as at the time of this video, this isn't his last record. It's the one before that. I got this one. It was a Barnes & Noble's 50% off. I actually made out like a bandit like everybody else did for that 50% off at Barnes & Noble's. I haven't shown a lot of those records yet, but this was one of them that I got. Okay, 3. Show a Canadian band. Well, I could go with the obvious, which would, for me, would be Rush. I have been a Rush fan since, like, I think just before Moving Pictures came out. That's one of my favorite albums. I used to have every album by then up to Power Windows. But these days, I've got like a Greatest of, 2112. I have Signals. That was the last album that I kind of liked from them. So I had gotten the next two, but I kind of waned as a fan by then. But everything from Rush to Signals, I love all of that stuff. That's a band I'm slowly getting their discography again. But that's too easy. And I've shown this record before. Triumph, another Canadian gem. Again, I've talked about this before. Excellent album cover. One of the coolest album covers. Good hard rock. Kind of the earliest stuff I remember, like having samples and things like that on it. One of the best openers. Too Much Thinking. And plus, this one here is a signed copy by Alan Ash. He's not a member of the band. He's just some guy who owned this record before I did. But yeah, Triumph, Never Surrender. I want to get their album before this one too. And those are the two albums that I had when I was younger. So I got this one. I've seen the other one, but for whatever reason I haven't been able to pick it up yet. But I'm working on it. And so the final question for the contest is a bonus question. And that is, do your best skank face. Alright, here goes. I don't know. It seems kind of creepy to me. Okay, I just figured something out. I misread that. It's not skank face, it's stank face. Stank face. Your stank face is the face you make when you play guitar. Alright, here we go. Okay, I gotta fix that real quick. Much better. Okay.
not one less.
Okay, so those are the questions for Blue Sky Vinyl's contest. I would like to add one little caveat because I believe now I have, by answering the stank question, that gave me a bonus question, which puts me in for 2 entries. I would like, if I get drawn, to have my prize go to Steve Carlson. We all know the news that's happened with Steve, and it's funny, I mentioned Steve and a cat shows up. So yeah, I would really like for my prize to go to Steve to help build up his collection again. I was thinking that, wow, for once I might actually have a collection bigger than Steve Carlson. And I saw his video that he did on Sunday, and I realized he's salvaging more records than I have still. But who wants to live in a world where Steve Carlson has less records than you do? And before you think that's totally generous of me, I do want to make another point that I never, ever win drawings. So that might be just pissing in the wind. But that leads into the segue of what I want to talk about, is Steve Carlson. I watched his Sunday morning video, and I was just amazed to watch that this guy, after all that had happened, still kept his head up high. Granted, in his video, it was a little bit down because of the angle that he had his camera, but even at that angle, he was keeping his head up high. And I want to tell a personal story of why I like Steve Carlson's channel so much. But before I do that, I have a list of Steve's from B-Side. Had put out a challenge or thread, 5 Steves for Steve. These are the top 5 names Steve gets called when they call him the wrong Steve. Number 5, Steve Carlton. Number 4, Steve Carlstien. Number 3, Steve Carlsberg. Number 2, Carl Stevenson. And the number 1 top 5 things that Steve gets called, Steve, son of a Carl. So Steve Carlson means a lot of people to a lot of things. Steve Carlson means a lot of things to a lot of people. And for me personally, what really got me hooked on his show, I started collecting. I did what a lot of people do as I'm starting to learn about, collecting records again. And I looked up record collecting, and the very first name that came up was Vinylize. Now, Vinylize is a good channel, but I think it's kind of aimed at a younger audience. You know what? I just realized something. Fixed. So what was I saying here? For me, that's right, Vinylize. So I realized that Vinylize had a younger audience, and so I kept searching around and one of the suggestions I got was Techmo, which was a really good channel, but it wasn't really about record collecting. So I kept doing the searches, and finally that led me to Vinyl Value. Kept going around. Steve Kemp was the next one. B-Side Records, Smokestack, Norman Masloff, I think Cactus Cowboy. And finally I was led to this channel, Vinyl Richie. And he mentions this guy, Steve Carlsbad. And I'm like, who's this Steve Carlsbad that I keep hearing also in these other channels? Well, then I realized who he was, and I started watching his channel. And it finally got me, being in the VC, to make a video. And so I made my very first video for Plastic Soundwave Cult for Noble Records. Now, I don't know if anybody has ever noticed it on my channel, but that video was my first one I put up, and I went almost a year without doing it again. So the reason why I went for such a long time after that first video without making another video was my dad had become very ill with Parkinson's. I had to start watching him on a regular basis at night. And eventually he did pass away from complications of Parkinson's. And during that time and after that time, I was kind of in a dark place, but there was one shining light every Sunday morning, Steve Carlson. I had already cut cable by that time. I was looking for something new to replace. I used to watch CBS Sunday Morning, and Steve Carlson was a perfect fit for my Sunday morning ritual. And when it finally came around for his, I believe it was his 1,000 subscriber contest, I finally decided to make a video again. And after that, he replied on all of my videos, pretty much almost all of them. I tried to reply on all of his. He gave me my first shout out. I don't know the man personally, but he just seems like a really, really great guy. And since he helped me through that time, I really want to do what I can to help him. I would like to be able to send Steve a record here and there for the rest of the year. I was going to make it, until his collection was bigger than mine, but I already saw it's already bigger, so I could have just said screw it, but I didn't. And another person I want to mention is the guy who started the GoFundMe page for Steve, Heave. I can't pronounce it. It's like Stuckanarium or something for the last name, but Heave over at Value Vinyl. That's a great thing you did, man. I don't know if you're going to see this video or not, but everybody in the VC has been cool, but he got that started. I believe he has a deal. If you can reach $6,000 on the GoFundMe, he's going to shave his entire head. So even I put in a little bit extra to see that. But I think the VC in general really is a great bunch of people. It's amazing as somebody who's fairly new to the VC to see how everybody conducts themselves in a time like this, in a time of need for somebody. And so, yeah, also thanks to Blue Sky Vinyl. Great competition idea. Sorry, contest idea. Steve Carlson. I wish you the best in every endeavor that you do going forth from this point on. Yeah, and thanks to the VC for just personally, it restores my faith in people. And I think that just goes to prove that all this record collecting is just not about the music.
Got me started, got me hooked, and now I have 2 rooms full of music, which I hope to share with you more. Now, one thing though, if these videos ever go over 10 minutes, for God's sake, shut off. What are you doing watching a video for over 10 minutes when you should be putting on some music and spinning some good tunes?